there, it's Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I am going to be answering in this video a question I get asked quite a lot, and that is, how do you choose the proper organizing bins or containers for your project? Now, let me tell you, because I love organizing and I've organized so many spaces, I have a lot of thoughts about that, and I want to share my experience so you can pick the best bins for your project. I would love to stand here and tell you that my 6-step process for choosing the ideal bin is going to mean that you'll never make any purchasing mistakes and you will always get the perfect bins and never get what you don't need. But that's actually not the case. I keep it real around here at Get Organized HQ, and I'm just going to tell you that when I organize spaces, I end up going through a lot of trial and error. I get way more bins than I need. I try several out, and then I send back what I don't use. So I'm just gonna be really transparent with you and tell you that that is the case. And the best way, it's kind of like with clothing. If you're going to try to purchase clothing that you love, you're gonna need to try on a lot of it. And the same is true when it comes to organizing bins. The way to find the perfect ones is just to try a lot, and don't be shy about taking back the ones that you don't like. The Container Store is great about returns, Amazon is great about returns, Target takes returns, so pretty much anytime I buy anything, I can return it with no problem, and do that. Don't hold on to stuff that you don't love. And also, if you want to take advantage of all of my trial and error, be sure to watch my video about my favorite organizing bins, so maybe you can shortcut the process and go ahead and take advantage of what I have already learned. So I just want to help you set up realistic expectations from the beginning. However, there are many things you can do to help you find the perfect bin. So, number one thing that you want to consider when you're finding a bin is the size, both in terms of you want the bin to be able to fit the items that you're putting into it, and you want it to fit in the space that you need to place it in. So, for example, if I'm going to store a lot of like standard 8.5 by 11 letter size paper, I don't want a bin that is 10 by 8 because the paper isn't going to fit in it. Conversely, you don't want something too huge. So if that's what I'm going to be storing, I don't want a 12 by 15 bin. Would paper fit in it? Yes, but there's going to be a lot of wasted space. So your goal is for the items to fit in with as little extra space as possible, and this will maximize your storage space. And the smaller your space is and the less storage space you have, the more important it is. If you have bigger spaces and more storage space, you can pay a little bit less attention to this rule in some cases and get by with it. The same is true when you're selecting what fits on your shelf or your drawer or wherever you're placing it. You can get something small enough to fit the shelf, but if it's a whole lot smaller, you're not taking advantage of all of the storage space. So that's the number one thing that I look for when I'm choosing a bin. Number two that I look for when choosing bins is uniformity. That means that instead of having 16 different types of bins, for example, on the shelf behind me, I want 3 or 4 different types. This is going to make your space look way more cohesive and way more organized than having all different types of bins. And when it comes to uniformity, it can mean like multiples of the exact same type of bin. As you see, these clear bins are exactly the same type. Beyond that though, it can also mean the same style. So as you'll see, like these are clear acrylics, as is that. So while they're not the exact same, they've got the same color and style, and this is going to help a lot. You also want to consider if the bin that you're choosing comes in multiple sizes. That's going to help a lot if you have a lot of different sizes of things to store. So I like things that are modular, such as the Kugis bins from IKEA or the dupe from Bed Bath & Beyond, that really nest into each other and fit multiple sizes of things while still looking cohesive and uniform. Not only do I consider uniformity within the space, but I also, wherever possible, I want it to match containers that I already have. So the fewer different types of containers you have in your entire home, the easier it is going to be to keep things organized. So that way, for example, if I use one type of bin back here and one type of bin in the closet that's to the side here that you can't see, and another type of bin in my kids' closets, and another type of bin in my closet, and I want to change something up, it's really hard and I have to buy more bins. Versus if I use all a similar kind of bin, it's much easier to either move or change things up. When it doesn't make a lot of sense to get the exact same types of bins, what I try to do is make them cohesive in their color palette, also in labeling. That can really take some that don't match as well and kind of bring them together and make them look cohesive. I also consider whether I want open versus closed storage. So open means it's like one of these open bins where you can just reach in and grab something, versus closed where it has a lid and it's going to take a little bit more effort to get that out. So if it's something that everyone uses every single day, you probably want it to be open and not closed so you can get to it easily. Versus if it's something that you rarely use or you want it protected from dust, you're going to want closed storage. Also consider color and style. Kind of lump these two together so that you get the look that you're going for. So if it's going to be out in the open, you're probably going to want it to be prettier than if it were like hidden away in a closet somewhere. So make sure that it's something that you're going to like to look at that matches your style and the decor and the rest of the space. Next, consider if you want micro or macro organizing. And so what that means, in macro, that means you would have one large bin and everything in there is just kind of thrown in there and it's not organized super specifically within that space. So for example, a lot of times with kids' toys, I like to do this. So like my son has a couple bins just for toys and we just throw them all in there. We're not concerned with like making every little thing inside a bin and giving it a spot. Versus, as you see behind me here, these are some homeschool and like school type of supplies, and I didn't want them just all thrown in this bin. That would be one way you could do it, and that's totally acceptable. But I wanted to easily be able to find what we wanted, so they're in these little labeled photo boxes. So this would be an example of micro organizing, where within the container, I need things to be very specifically organized. Another consideration is whether you want the items being stored to be visible or hidden. So that means, like for example, in these clear bins, what I have here is very visible. You can see it in the bin, so I made sure that it was pretty and that it was colorful, versus a bin where you can't see inside. So if the stuff that you have is just like tossed in there and is not very pretty or organized, you're probably going to want something where it's hidden and you can't actually see what's inside. This is also true if you don't want to put it back super carefully. For example, blankets. This is a great example. Some people have them stored in such a way that they're totally visible. They're on like a blanket ladder. We have one on a shelf that's like rolled up nicely. And in these cases, whoever puts the blanket away has to go through extra effort. Versus if you have a basket that you can't really see into, like maybe it's on a shelf, you can just kind of stuff the blanket in there and you don't have to worry about it. So both what you're storing and your personal preference of how you like to put it away factors in here. One thing that is really important to consider that I think a lot of people often overlook is who is going to be putting these items away. So we're not usually just organizing for ourselves if we live in a home with other people. So is this going to be really functional for whoever is actually putting it away? So like, for example, I may love this micro-organized situation here with these cards and things like that, but I am the one who has to control that and put that away, because that's too much for small children. They can't even read the labels in some cases, so I know I have to do that. Versus if it was something that I wanted small children to put away, it would be one bin that everything goes in. So really stop to consider that to make sure that whatever bins you're choosing work for the people who are using the space. It's also very important to consider your budget when you're picking organizing containers. And what I like to do is think of my overall budget for the project and then splurge where it makes sense and where it makes a big difference, and where it's not that important to me, go with cheaper or free alternatives. So in some cases, the budget-friendly option is actually just as good or better than the expensive option. So I'll go with that in those cases. Also, sometimes I have stuff around my house that I can use. Always shop your house first and see if there's something you have that you can use so you don't have to go out and buy something else. And then save your budget for the items that are more visible, that are more important to you, that you want to splurge on. You can also find tons of free ways to organize. You can use like old cereal boxes for drawers. You can use shoe boxes. I've seen people cover them with contact paper or like pretty cardstock or wrapping paper with Mod Podge. There's so many ways that you can dress up your things like a shoebox or something that is 100% completely free. And if you're doing this, I also love seeing if your friends have uniform boxes. For example, diaper boxes are really good for organizing because they're sturdy, and if you buy the same kind, see if a friend has these where they'll look really uniform and you can cover them with paper. So obviously always take your budget into consideration when you're choosing your organizing bins. Now, if you're wondering what some of my favorite bins are, go ahead and click the link to watch the video about my favorite organizing products, and you'll see some that I highly recommend.